Hey there, and welcome back, and if you're new, welcome in. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Cyno. However, before that, I wanted to talk about something from my previous video, which turned out I was wrong when it came to one of these things, which was pretty much this one. When it comes to the Golden Troop, apparently the 4-piece set technically doesn't work, or the Golden Troop doesn't have its effect as I thought, unfortunately, since technically his skill does categorize as a normal attack, which apologies for the misinformation. But now we shall get back to the video when it comes to Cyno. So for Cyno, he is a full DPS, and honestly with this guy is you usually want to have attack and to an extent EM. And usually you want to have like crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge to a good amount if you don't have another electro character. So let's just get on to the weapon. So first, technically his best in slot would be Scarlet Sands, which one, looks good on him, and then two, some of the effects it has does work on him as well, especially since 52% of his elemental mastery is they gain it as a bonus to his attack. So pretty much 52 of his elemental mastery boosts his attack when in combat, and then whenever his elemental skill hits an opponent, pretty much they will where was it? The equipped character will gain 8% of their elemental mastery as attack, which max pretty much, how do I say it? The more EM he has, the higher his attack gets, which honestly is really good, especially since during his burst animations, his skill has a shorter cooldown, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie. However, let's say you don't have Scarlet Sands, another good option is one which you might lose a 50-50 to, which is the Primordial Jade, which honestly, on hit, attack is increased by 3.2% for 6 seconds. Max stack is like 7, and I'm pretty sure you should be able to get, I'm gonna say 4 to 5. I could be wrong. I'll be able to count it once I'm actually doing the little burst animation attack. And on top of that, damage is increased by 12% as well, if you get the maximum stack too. But I'm pretty sure you might be able to get the full stack. Another one would be, I'm gonna say Staff of Home, because this is by far, if not the strongest staff there is in the game. Or Lance. Polearm, apologies. It's Polearm. The strongest polearm in the game, in my own opinion. Aside from certain characters' specific weapon. Like Raiden Shogun's for her. And then, dude, I don't really recommend this one at all to anyone. So I don't recommend getting the Vortex. I got this one trying to get, I think it was a Staff of Homo once. But anyways, so far, Scarlet Sands, best in slot. Wait. Free to play options, technically, I'm gonna say, where was it? It's Light Spender, technically. The Light Spender is Deathmatch. And if you don't have Deathmatch, another one would be, it's the White Tassel, not the black one. Because the White Tassel is somewhat similar to Primordial Jade, which is, instead of the HP, it's a crit rate base, or stat technically. Because whatchamacallit, he technically gets not only the crit rate, but for the passive, it's, como se dice, it will increase his normal attacks, which technically at max refinement, I believe it's 24%. I do not have it on me, because as you can tell, I technically already have these, and then the polearm characters that I currently have already have their own weapons already technically set. But still, those are his technically options. Best in slot, second best in slot, third, and then the white tassel, not the black one, would probably be the fourth. And then also there's the death match if you get the battle pass and decide to go with this one. Bavonius is maybe you can use it, but even then it's like it's okay if you're having like if you don't have any of the other ones, Favonius is always nice to have, especially with the whole where is it? Boom, 100% chance of creating particles. So you're constantly having your burst time up, which honestly is pretty good. For his artifact sets, so far, Gilded Dreams might be his best in slot, unless there is another set that I do not know of. But as of now, I'm pretty sure the Gilded Dreams is his best in slot. However, other good options is where is it? Is a two piece of Wanderer's Trove and Gilded Dreams to then have his Elemental Mastery increase. However, for you preferably want to have a 4-piece set of Gilded Dreams, since whatchamacallit, it one has the Elemental and EM increased by 80, and on top of that, pretty much depending on the teammates he have will depend on the boost. If he has technically the same teammate, he will get an attack increase. However, if he has a different element teammate, his elemental mastery will be increased. And I believe this each pretty much for each character, the maximum buff is 3, obviously, since there's only 3 other characters. So you can either have a full Electro team, which honestly don't really recommend. I'd recommend like maybe one Dendro team for the Hyper Bloom, because his team is really good in Hyper Blooms. You could probably try Superconduct. I don't really recommend it, but hey, you do you. So you can probably have like 3 Electros, him, technically 2 other Electros, and then 1 Dendro character. Or you can have 2 Electros and 2 Dendro characters. Or you might want to have a Hydro character too, technically, to create the blooms themselves. But still, it's like overall you at least want one other teammate to be the same, and then the other 2 you can do almost whatever you want if you would like, which is pretty nice when it comes to this artifact set. But like I mentioned, if you don't have a good 4-piece set of Gilded Dreams, you can try a 2-piece Gildred and a 2-piece Wanderers. I know there's another artifact set that has Elemental Mastery, but I don't remember which one it was, unless I'm thinking of something. But oh yeah, also another good piece technically, which I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna get a lot of, maybe, is Gladiators. Because what, you get an 18% increase in attack, and on top of that, pole arms, since technically he is a pole arm user, his normal attack will be increased by 35%, which honestly, chances are you're gonna have a lot of these lying around, which honestly, it's like chances are you're gonna have like a good 4-piece set, maybe at least one. But for the main stat, you usually want either Elemental Mastery, preferably, or you can go with Attack. For the Goblet, you usually want Electro Damage, and for the Circlet, it can either be Crit Rate or Crit Damage. For the substats, you usually want Crit Rate, Crit Damage, preferably Elemental Mastery, and maybe some ER as well, Energy Recharge. And that's honestly about it for the artifact sets. Constellation-wise, C0's good if you want to go for him. However, for the next constellations, C1 would be good because it increases his pretty much speed attack, or normal attack speed, I should say. Apologies. And pretty much for the second one, it increases his electro damage, which honestly can stack up to, what, 5 times for every normal hit. So pretty much you'll be able to get max stats. So with C2, you'll be getting an additional 50% increase to electro damage, which can last for 4 seconds. The next one, it increases his burst. For C4, his elemental teams, it's nice, but it's like, it's okay. because what it helps with the energy recharge for his team, but not for himself, by the way. And for C5, it's going to be increasing his elemental skill, and C6, pretty much it does additional damage whenever you perfectly trigger his elemental skill with his burst, which will deal an additional stack. I could be wrong though. But overall, it's Constellation. I'm gonna say the first two are good. If not, you might have to go to C6. But even then, C6 itself doesn't. I don't know. C6 doesn't even seem that interesting if I'm being honest. For his skills, you're gonna want to prioritize technically his normal attack skill, then his burst. Or technically, yeah, pretty much. Since he's a mixture of everything, because when his burst animations, you're going to be doing normal attacks, so you're gonna want to increase that. But then he also has his skills which work with his elemental burst, so it's like you're gonna want all three. I'll show you when it comes to his burst animation, but overall you're gonna need to level up all three. So when it comes to teams, all right, so Official's good. Raiden Shogun is, dude, honestly, if I'm being honest, just Raiden Shogun. If you already have her, you kind of don't need Cyno whatsoever, like at all, because she's by far the probably best Electro DPS 5-star. Nah, you know what? No, it's not even competition. She is the best Electro character in the game so far, if I'm being 100% honest. Then there's Yaimiko, so she can do, technically, she can be the sub DPS to Cyno. Then Cookie's always a good character to have, technically, which I will be having. Beto's really good, just in case you want to have shields, if you don't have another shield character, or if you do have other shield characters, but you have Beto, like I mentioned, you kind of want to have another character that has the same element. Lisa, she's good, but with Constellation, she gets even better. Which also, she's kind of a free unit, so you start off good with her. Kaching, chances are you're going to have several copies of her lying around, but then again, she's a DPS, so these two will be kind of fighting for the main spot. We have Dory. She technically is somewhat like Cookie, but just not as good of a healer, in my opinion. And then we have Kujo Sara, which honestly probably the best Electro buffer in the game. Technically use her to buff Cyno, but then Cyno has several problems, which I will get to in 1 second. And then Razor, he's more of a DPS, so chances are he's going to be wanting to fight Cyno for his position. So honestly, overall, Official, Cookie, Raiden, Yai, if you have her, Beto. These technically are the practically best characters you can have. And for the other characters, I would recommend technically a Dendro character. Nahida, by far best Dendro in the game, personal opinion. Dendro Traveler, if somehow you didn't manage to get any of the Dendro characters, which honestly I'm gonna be adding him. I'm just gonna show you or tell you a few more things about Cyno. The dude's burst animation is kind of too long, which to the point where it's like he kind of outlasts the buffs from the characters, which I also forgot to mention. Because wait, you can technically have Bennett instead of Cookie for the healer, so you can get an additional attack bonus, but chances are by the time Benny's burst is already ending, Cyno's still gonna have his burst animation. So it's like, it's nice, but honestly it kind of lasts too long in my opinion, which kind of, you then have to force him out by switching into the other characters to then have all the buffs all over again, to then go back to him and hopefully have his burst up, because when he's in his burst animation, he himself does not really create a lot of energy particles. The only way he creates energy particles is with his skill, but it's only a limited time every time. So like, I'm gonna be 100% honest, if you want Cyno go for him if you like his playstyle as well. Personally, I wouldn't go for him. Is it a bias? Yes. The only reason why I recommended Ayato was mostly due to him technically being pretty good Hydro DPS, but even then, if you have other, like what, Child or Nuvilette, you kind of don't really need Ayato. And for Cyno, technically, Raiden Shogun, if you manage to snipe her on her, what, 2-3 reruns, I believe, you don't need any other Electro DPS. Maybe a sub DPS, but not a DPS. But still, though. So, overall. So, pretty much he has normal attacks 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty sure it's 4 normal consecutive attacks. Yep, it's 4. And then when it comes to his skill, he only gets 2 energy particles, which is going to take him almost a while for him to get them. Hence, I recommend having another Electro character as a battery. So, or you might preferably want to have him. Ooh. Because what, with Fischl, technically she's a good Electro battery. Ooh. Oh. And that's pretty much having the special effect. Or the perfect effect. Every single time when you see that little symbol, technically that's when you want to press the elemental skill. And that's when you have the AoE damage. However, if you don't do it, you just get technically a little giant crash. Just him jumping and then just slamming down onto the ground. Which honestly, it's like, how do I put it? It's just, it's not as flat. You will, when you see it, you'll see that it's not as flashy. Overall, this dude, he's good, but he has several problems. Like I mentioned, his burst animation lasts too long. You have to force him out of his animation, technically, or out of his burst, to then be able to use the buffs all over again. But then at that point, it's like, you're kind of cutting into his damage dealing, because you have to make sure that you technically have his burst. Like right now, I have 2 other characters to then charge his elemental burst, which by the way, he did not have up. So it's like, he's good. Personally, I wouldn't recommend him if you have Raiden Shogun though, because honestly, she's, like I mentioned, by far the best DPS / sub DPS in the game. Or technically, well, no, sub DPS due to what, you being able to use other artifact sets on her, which is, I believe, you're also able to use Gilded Dreams on her too. So technically, she could literally just take his spot, if I'm being honest. But that's honestly about it when it comes to some of his stuff. So if you ended up enjoying this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Oh, but beforehand, we are currently at no, not 100, apologies. We are currently at 274 subscribers. I really appreciate the support, and let's see how far we make it before the end of the month / the end of the year. So until next time, later nerds. Take care.